This is a very painful one because you get punished in Botswana for telling the truth. Give Botswana Baba Khonang the chance to lead.
Countries get built on the back of entrepreneurship. And the big thing is, in Africa, in Botswana, do we know how to create and build value that can serve millions of customers? So we bring you today someone who's playing a particular space in this startup ecosystem to try and upgrade Botswana so that we can become more creative, build entrepreneurs, and hopefully really grow our private sector capabilities. None other than Mr. Mooketsi Tekere. Oh, Mox. Welcome, my man.
Good afternoon.
Good to see you.
I have to be honest with you. Africa is open for business. Africa is open for business. The internet has changed the rules. We need to stop this grant money. World Bank. We need venture capital. We need angel investors, Mr. K. You get a young guy, you angel invest. We also just don't have that sense just to give 10 million, 1 million. And I'm like, what is your problem? Government has to get out of the way. I don't know who advises our ministers. I don't know who advises even in the BDIH board. Like, I can tell you, I was in the BDIH board. I felt like I was an outsider the whole time I was there. Nobody could listen to me. Yet, when the French ambassador, for example, calls in people, like a delegation, he makes sure I'm at the table. I used to sit at the boardroom with the World Bank. I'm the first person who will the kids at World Bank. World Bank, I discuss the entrepreneur. I was identified. Oh my God, I can sit with the PS and with the minister, and I'm like, does this person even know what they're doing? Who are they competing with? Does he know his peer, Namibia, right now has just brought in 200 million venture capital? So that people are just anti-other Botswana. It's nothing to do with environment. Environment, they can cater for everybody.
Welcome to the GrowthWell Podcast, where we tap into a well of knowledge, innovation, and leadership to fuel Africa's growth. Here, we explore thought-provoking insights and expert knowledge that empower individuals and businesses to thrive across the continent. Whether it's personal development or professional advancement, our conversations inspire action and impact. This is GrowthWell, where ideas flow and growth begins. Let's dive in.
Right, here we go again. This is GrowthWell Podcast. We're here now discussing one of my favorite topics. You might be asking, hey, wow, every topic is his favorite. But yeah, countries get built on the back of entrepreneurship. You talk about the United States and its Silicon Valley. You talk about Singapore. You talk about London, New York. What makes them tick is the people who create things. And the big thing is, in Africa, in Botswana, do we know how to create and build value that can serve millions of customers? And what's interesting is that in Africa, we've got 1.3 billion people, and those millions of those people need so much stuff to get them out of poverty and get us from this low income state to high income. So we've got huge opportunities, grand problems that need grand solutions. But let me show you just a couple of examples of why we're still behind. Just in Africa itself, we only attract 0.3% of global funding when it comes to R&D. Remember, this all connects to innovation, creating stuff. Only 0.5% of global high-tech products come from Africa. So we need to tackle this matter, otherwise we'll remain at the bottom of the rungs. So we bring you today someone who's playing a particular space in this startup ecosystem to try and upgrade Botswana so that we can become more creative, build entrepreneurs, and hopefully really grow our private sector capabilities. So none other than Mr. Mooketsi Tekere. How Mox? Welcome, my man.
Good afternoon.
Good to see you.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm doing good.
Wonderful.
Yeah, welcome to GrowthWell.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
We've talked about this, and it's taken a few months now, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like it's not an easy one, but I'm happy that I could get the opportunity to come.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Now, we usually start on a very light note, and I would like to share something which is quite interesting. Around, I talk a lot about happiness and also well-being generally. So I just came across the statistic, which is quite interesting. They say in Europe, 2,000 people die every year due to noise. And this is to do with cardiovascular disease. In other words, I think I don't know if you know that heart diseases are the biggest killers of man on earth right now.
Wow.
Because of the stressful, the blood pressures,
right.
strokes and all that, all related to the heart. And all those are related to stress.
Right.
And they say that noise is one of the biggest stressors because our reptilian system in our brain they still detect noise as a threat.
Right.
So it builds up this cortisol and ends up heightening our levels of stress, hence a lot of this heart disease. So it's just interesting study that you could pick up this very unique thing that for now it's a noise for granted.
Yes.
You stay in a city next to very noisy. Can't is contributing to your health. So I just thought that was quite interesting.
Right. No, you're spot on. I mean, if you notice people that are more creative, even the Germans, they don't appreciate a lot of noise. If you're too loud, they chase you out. So there's that culture with other people that you can observe, and they're great engineers. So I think it's certainly important that people need to hear themselves wherever they are, right? They need to be conscious of their health, especially entrepreneurs.
Especially us.
Yeah, especially us who live the abnormal life.
Abnormal life.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to hearing more about that.
Yes.
And what I do, I always tell people, try and hack the system.
Right.
What I do to hack the system, and that's why we've got a farming operation. So what I do is, when it becomes too noisy, and Khabiaka said, stressful, that, you just run to the farms. Botswana's got beautiful, fields and outdoors. So I just go to the farm, and it's quiet.
Right.
And you sleep well.
Right.
And you wake up, have a nice 8-9 hours sleep, and it's just amazing. Like you said, the creativity that comes after that is just amazing.
Right.
Amazing. But that's the positive side. But the main thing is that I just like you to know that noise actually can contribute to deteriorating health. So just watch your noise. So don't stay, if you can afford, don't stay next to a high road, to a road, because that's very noisy.
Right.
Yeah. So that's that. So on your side, as you said, it's some of us entrepreneurs live very, very difficult lives.
Yeah.
Stresses every week, every month. In terms of the struggles, especially from an African bureaucratic setup. So how do you keep up with making sure that you still look good as you look good now?
So, well, look, for me, when I was a bit more younger, before I started the family, I would travel a lot. So if I thought the place was crouching me, I would just get on a plane and go somewhere else, right? And come back when I feel better. But nowadays, I think I've kind of matured where I enjoy spending time with my children.
Okay.
So, my children are still young. So pretty much I'm able to sit, play with my daughter or my son, and I just get a different level of energy.
And calmness.
Yes. So, but it's you never know. You wake up one morning, you're okay. In the afternoon, it's totally changed. So it's not predictable for us.
That's correct.
Yeah, but you try to just keep an upload, of how you do everything. Yes.
You're talking about your daughter. Just tell us about Mox outside the entrepreneurial. Who are you as a?
So I'm a third generation entrepreneur. I come from a family of people that have always started businesses. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. They moved from one country to the next selling stuff. My father was an entrepreneur in the taxi business, which is the transport business. So there's no surprise there that my mother also joined and started doing retail business and
all this in Gaborone or where was all
No,
that?
Our family, our history stems back from Zimbabwe.
Okay.
Yeah, people don't know this, but my grandfather put Mugabe in power. So when Mugabe was in
that Tekere, that side. Those are relatives.
That's our great grandfather. Yeah, so that's
not Edgar Tekere.
So Edgar Tekere.
Oh, that's okay. It took us for me to come and know here in the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So there is that line, and then my father moves to Botswana, marries a Motswana from Matangwani. So my mother is Kalanga from Matangwani. Then we grow up in that culture, and ultimately we branch off the trade route. We go to school, and then we discover ourselves back again in the entrepreneurship journey. So, so that's me. And then, of course, I then spring off. I get married to, Kagame's daughter in Rwanda.
Really?
Yeah. So,
you're a real traveler.
So Rwanda is like my second home.
Okay.
So my wife comes from Rwanda.
Oh, beautiful.
So we've got 3 kids. But she lives here with me in Botswana. Yeah. Okay. So this is me.
How many kids? You said 3 kids.
So 3 kids, two boys and 1 girl.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice. So, family man.
Yeah, of course, it's important. I think it's one of my success, things that I've achieved in my journey of being an entrepreneur. And me just being a Motswana, I'm very proud of that at my age, to have done the right thing and now have a family and, be structured. It's important. In our culture, it's something that you have to do. It's actually mandatory that when you reach 21, you must get a wife and and settle down and have children,
Okay.
Yeah, most people in our tribe would not get to a certain age without this.
Without getting married and settling.
It's important. It's even dictated, if I can say it. Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Let's get back now to on your career side. It's interesting you say you come from a family of traders, of entrepreneurs, but your entrepreneurship is very unique in that you're not only an entrepreneur, but you're also contributing to the ecosystem in terms of assisting other entrepreneurs.
Right.
So just tell us about now how all this started in terms of, One Africa, Pulaspace, what is that on your career side and how did you start?
Yeah, well, for me, this was not a choice. It's a path that was already defined for me. So I did not have to think as to whether if I have to take a job or I have to be an entrepreneur. It was already clear in the bloodline that I have to go venture into business, right? So, but of course I followed what I deemed to be what I found to be a passion, which is education. So initially we started off running the largest coding initiative in the country through One Africa, which was funded by SAP from Germany.
Okay.
Some German guys identified me. They gave me $1 million Pula. We ran the biggest coding initiative in Botswana called Africa Code Week.
Okay.
So what you see as the plant in the schools of Botswana schools, across all the schools in Botswana, we were very early in saying the new language is coding. That then grew, okay?
This is about 10 years.
Yeah, this is probably when people started, the internet started booming, when people started knowing there's the internet, and people started knowing behind the internet there's code, which then code creates digital businesses, which then people make money. So then people started planting back that kind of knowledge. They were exporting it back from Silicon Valley. Basically, Africa's model of Silicon Valley was emerging. So that's how I kind of started contributing in that space, in the what you would call the incubation and acceleration space. That got boring for me, right? I went back into what I thought was the natural thing, which was working with talent, where I would find young guys that are very smart. A lot of the top achievers in the country were sent to me, but most people don't know this. So when the top achiever office was set up at the Ministry of Education, these guys would be stuck at home before they went to Pula. So they would send them to me. I would raise money from corporates like Stanbic Bank and so on. So Stanbic Bank at the time had a program called Financial Literacy Program. So I convinced them to put money into these guys. We would take these guys into the Bokasani, to the Delta Kumau, and I'll spend time with a few of these guys. Some of these guys, then I started imparting the entrepreneurship, culture that I had with them. Some of them would tell me ideas like they want to create showers along the A1 road so people can just stop, take a shower, and go straight to work, right? One guy even, I think, came on our boot camp and created this thing like a shower that you can just shower and then you don't have to bath. He replaced the concept of taking a bath. That guy went and Ludwig Marishani, from South Africa, he went and sold that thing to the military in the US. And exited that business.
Really?
So yeah, he
sold it.
So he sold the business. So it's a very early young guy. I'm talking guys that were creating these things while they were 18.
Yeah, because some of our viewers are not aware of the Top Achievers program, which is a Botswana program where if you get a certain pass level, basically very high, either at O level, Cambridge O level or A levels, then the government sponsor you to any university across the world of your choice, top universities, and government will sponsor, will pay for fees, accommodation, everything, right up to PhD level. Yeah, so that's why you're saying they're about 18. That's before they went to university.
Yeah, so these guys were bored. I mean, these guys would stay home they were on a gap year because they couldn't join UB. When their friends went to UB, they stayed behind so that they could go to some external university so that time period. So there was a gentleman at the ministry who was very open-minded. I think Labani Mokhosi was running that office and some of his team. So they were very agile and open. So they knew that these guys needed something to kind of keep them busy. So then I was kind of the aggregator in that, right? For me, it was harvesting, ideas and talent. So these guys at that age are very innovative because their mind is not corrupted with anything. They're clean. They're virgins. So they can give you very fresh ideas, right? And you can make a lot of stuff. So we pivoted that asset into our business and we were able to validate the idea of incubation and acceleration.
Okay.
That went on to grow from those guys to university students up until now we realized there was a pool of these guys who was flooded in the market who were now forced entrepreneurs, right? Who were coming, but they didn't have this intelligence to spot problems and now turn those. Then we realized, there was a thing for coding. Then we set up a first coding school. So some of these guys started coming to code. Then some of them started creating apps and stuff. And then we realized, there's money now in this. iHub at the time in Kenya was thriving. So we started modeling all of that to say, but why is there a space with just one computer and internet? Go Kenya. And these guys are creating amazing stuff. After M-Pesa story, everything just went boom across Africa. These hubs started emerging. So we were one of those type of spaces. Then I think at that time, but the Botswana first venture was set up under BDIH, which used to be a driver walk. So guys like Justice William emerged and some other guys, Martin, started coming into that space. But ours was unique because it was based out of Gaborone. It was in Francistown.
Okay.
So it was pretty much the only one. So we would pivot corporate support and some level of government support where people knew about us. And these guys would feed into the main space being the BDIH at the time, but all this great work led later on to the idea of going into venture space because you've built the companies. I'm a person who builds things and get bored, right?
Yeah.
So then I got bored of just seeing people build and then struggle to get money. Then I'm like, but we're in a rich country, but how come these guys are building such great things and I'm comparing them to guys in Zimbabwe and Zambia? Why isn't there venture capital and an angel investor network? So fortunately enough, a lot of these guys, because it's a network, it's an ecosystem. One of them was my mentor. It's called Tommy Davis. He sits in Nigeria. So he pioneered the first angel networks in across Africa, now successful one. Even the one in Botswana, right? He gave me a call. He gave a call later to Alan Boshweng. We put a concept together with the World Bank office in Botswana. The angel network Botswana was formed.
Beautiful.
And then obviously government got excited. They took the paper from the World Bank, okay? And then went and ran with it. Whether if it went and succeeded, it's a story for another day. But you should know these are things that were created behind the boardroom of our work. So I mean, and then generally also outside the setting up of the Pulaspace fund, where I'm trying to raise a $10 million fund now out of Kigali.
When did the Pulaspace concept come? When did it start?
We and I have to credit Stanbic Bank for this because there was a bank CEO at Stanbic Bank called Sam Minter, who was the CEO at the time. So Rema Sisi at the time was the president. He had a town hall meeting, called GICC. So he made a call for private sector to help him solve problems in the country. So I was one of the people that stood up and I asked him one question. Rema Sisi, you want to create jobs. And how are you going to do that when you have no structures in the private sector helping you, when your government is doing 90% of everything? So Strive Masiwa was in there at the time. And then I raised the question of why isn't the pension funds putting a little bit of my tech, 2% of their money into tech. So that sparked interest between Strive Masiwa and Ramasisi. Then I found myself in a room, Kohudimu, with Sam sitting there. Then Sam asked me, what do you think we can do as a bank? Then I said to him, all the innovation hubs that are here in Botswana are mainly government funded or donor funded. Can you guys as a bank step up? I'll create the blueprint. So Accelerate was born.
Okay, Stanbic Bank That's how it was born.
So I then joined with that group of team of guys that I brought in. Some of the guys that were very successful guys in the ecosystem. So Accelerate was meant to be a model of a space like Ko iHub, Ko Rwanda, Ko Norscan, which was never meant to interfere like any government or anybody. It was supposed to be entrepreneurial. But something went wrong. A bank executive started running the space. I exited. When I exited, I was given 200,000 Pula by Sam. I think that was my thank you.
By Stanbic Bank.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that money went
for the initiative.
For the initiative. So
yeah.
I said to them, we have lost the thesis. Here's the thesis. So I brought in guys like Martin Stimela, Stebe Manake, the top 5 at the time. We ran a 3x3 acceleration program. And I guaranteed them that after that acceleration program, which was the fastest, by the way, it was 3 months that one of them would raise over $100,000. We did that, and the model was proven. Beyond that, we went and launched Pulaspace.com as a platform. We had a wait list.
Virtual platform.
Out of nowhere, over 500 companies came.
Really?
We didn't ask them to join. Over LinkedIn, over digital, with no investment. The only investment we received was one from Abaricom, with the internet connectivity where that could be run. So out of my house, I built that. I built that platform. We went and raised money from Okavango Diamond Company, from Orange, from everything. So when I sit with you today, that platform is registered in Rwanda. We're trying to put together a fund in Rwanda. We'll talk about why.
Pulaspace.
The Pulaspace capital. Yeah. So there's the Pulaspace.com, which is the platform where what we say the startup girls come and dance, right? So you're building something.
It's just as the name says.
It's a space for you to bring in your startup, your pipeline. It's a pipeline filtering. So it has over 1,000 companies now. Out of Botswana, we can say maybe 100. So anybody who's building something tech goes on the wait list. We look and we say, that sounds interesting. So we don't do like other guys. We say, no, there's no innovation. We don't have a right to do that. We allow them to come in. We look at their pitch deck. We connect them with an investor. We tell the investor, you said you're an angel. You know what an angel is? Write check. Give this guy $10,000. Give this guy $20,000. Get out of their way. If you want, take a board seat. Then we sign what we call a SAFE. Okay? A SAFE means, SAFE is simple agreement for future equity. So in the future, if this thing makes money, you have your 10% for your 20%.
Gotcha.
But of course, it's quite a dangerous thing because then you can lose all your money.
Yeah.
A lot of guys came in. Some of them went and raised 100,000, excess 100,000. Then we realized, no, we're now playing brokering. Now we've got to pay it forward. So we looked at the environment and we said, where would it be best to put a fund? We need a micro fund, not a VC fund. VC funds are large amounts of money.
Large amounts, yes.
We decided we want a micro because we're in a small country
with,
So we started a concept of micro venture capital. People are like, what are you talking about? So I worked on that. I pitched to everybody, VC. I started speaking VC. You've got an angel now, but this is different. VC, institutional money. Check size is $100,000 minimum. Because this is what you can give. In South Africa, of course, an idea can get $1 million.
Yeah.
In Botswana, it makes sense to give that amount of money, which is 100 to 250,000, just to ideate.
Just seed, to get it.
So then we realized Rwanda was becoming a very competitive market for that. But of course, we hear Botswana tried to do it years ago. But we looked
when you say Rwanda became competitive, what do you mean?
So we pitched.
Okay.
Remember, we pitched in Botswana to different institutions. So you would go to BITC, you'd go to whoever is there. They wouldn't understand. We took us one pitch in Rwanda. One pitch with the junior executive. We were facilitated in a week. We were registered. We were given a waiver that we needed to do 1, 2, 3, 4 things in a sandbox type of approach. Very fast. But registered in Batsenying, and then, now we now have to just pay $5,000 Then we make the call for the capital, the money out of Rwanda. Out of Rwanda, the rule is number one. Don't raise money in Rwanda. Bring the money in, send your money to Botswana or to any of your geographies. Because remember, the 1,000 plus companies I'm talking about, they're at different stages. Pre-seed, seed stage, some even Series A. We even got guys from the US registered on our platform.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So this is the interesting thing that has emerged out of building this platform of Pulaspace into Pulaspace Capital. Then, of course, one of the guys that was with me was Enes Bosha from Nigeria. He was with me from just while I was building the idea, just as an intern. He would later become a partner. He would leave his job, high-paying job at the Central Bank of Nigeria to help build now Pulaspace Capital. So I needed now somebody with the know-how of how to build, to raise that amount of money. I mean, we're talking $10 million.
That's what you're trying to build.
That's what we're trying to
raise.
But of course, in my recent trip in the US, I'm told it's petty cash.
Yeah. For those guys,
it's money that can be given to one company and it has no meaning. Okay, so we pegged it at 10 because we believe that's the minimum that you can do in a microeconomy. Whether Rwanda, you want to return people's money. So you don't want to say, I want 50 million or 100 million. What are you going to do with it? And
then you get stuck with it because you're not,
Then I think as I was building this work, of course, government noticed my work. They put me as a board member of the Botswana Innovation Hub. I was very excited about it. I accepted. I don't even know how I got on that board. I didn't apply. I went through a security process, which was very interesting for 6 months, security vetting. They check who you are, where you're from, whether if you
What do you mean security vetting? Are you talking about the DIS stuff?
So it's actually DIS and a whole lot of stuff. And I was also told 10 permanent secretaries actually look at your bio and profile. They actually take if you can. So it's not like you just wake up and go manage. Remember there's 100. So the background is there's 100 million Pula there, which you are supposed to manage. There's 1 billion Pula infrastructure there, right? So you have to put credible people there.
Gotcha.
So I accepted on advice, although I didn't think was the right thing for me. So I accepted just so I could understand what the bottlenecks were, right? So I got in and
because it's an important structure in the ecosystem.
In the ecosystem,
BDH
right?
is very,
it's one of the first to be structured, in terms of the space. As to whether if it succeeded, it's a different
matter.
Yeah, but it's 14 years since it's been there. And we've got to acknowledge there's 1 billion Pula put by the government of Botswana in that space, in the form of infrastructure, not the innovation space, right? Not an innovator, but
I'm with you.
1 billion going to cement.
Yeah.
We have
brick and mortar.
Brick and mortar. We have 100 million Pula going there annually. That's supposed to go to entrepreneurs. So that's been an exciting journey for me to go in there and observe and ask.
You've been there a couple of years now as a board member.
2 years, almost 2 years.
2 years, okay.
So I just left the board, as I told you. At the beginning of this month, I left. So I was in there it took me just 6 months to know what's going on. Because, this is my space. You're not going to tell me, because I'm obsessed with this space. I can tell you, things that you wouldn't even know, right? And I'm connected in this space. People come to me for advice, whether if there's no single person that can come and take an entrepreneur in Botswana and my name doesn't come across. There's no single check that can be written from a VC or an angel without me knowing.
So you are right at the center of this market in Botswana.
Of course.
Partly from an African perspective as well.
I give you a case point. The first company in Botswana to get venture capital out of Google, the great guys, you must bring them to the podcast actually. Martin Stimela and his guys.
I know Martin Stimela, yeah.
Yeah, Martin Stimela and his guys from Braston and his co-founder, Naledi Mahowe. When their due diligence was done by Google, I was called. Do you know them? I said, the only thing I would say, those are great founders. When Arun was pitching in Cape Town, people asked me, I said, I know Arun, he's a great guy. These are the great guys. Do you know Justice William? Do you know Sithebe Manake? When Sithebe got her money from the Angel Network Botswana with catalytic funding. The people called me. People wouldn't know. These are part of the things that happen when people take their own private money. They talk to people.
Yeah.
And then in good faith, you say, great guy, give him money. But of course, if you know the person and you know that really they're not building for good, you just say whatever you need to say, but you do not destroy a young person's future.
Sure.
Like what I've seen other people do, other institutions do, where they say, oh no, this is not innovative. This is not an AI we want. What do you know about AI? There's nobody with the answers of AI. So the gatekeeping from where I sit, I've always been respected as a person who's very straightforward and very, aligned in terms of saying we've got to empower people. Sometimes we've got to take bold decisions.
And in our very, what's the right words? Where there is a culture of passiveness and obeying the rules, how has that come up in the environment? I mean, it must have been very tough for you as a straight talker.
Yes. So this is a very painful one because you get punished in Botswana for telling the truth. We were at the HLCC. You remember the HLCC, the Business Botswana Conference in Francistown?
Yeah. Last year, last year, October?
Young people came out and they said, the space is not working for us. The Botswana Innovation Hub is effective. An 18-year-old telling you that.
It's ineffective.
It's ineffective to me, right? It doesn't serve what I need. It's frustrating me, right? I came and I stood up. I said, oh, they are right. I got punished for that. It's just how it is. And
you're accepting even as a board member. Yeah. Because you're a board member at the time.
So I get called that at minister level, you cannot say that. I mean, what do you mean? I'm advising you. So these young people, that like 20 emails coming to me per week, by the way, from these young people across the country, sending me, hey, look, I just got rejected on this. But this guy just got 2 million Pula, but there's no innovation. And I look and I'm like, oh, it's the truth. So, then when you tell the truth, people are not willing. Even if you advise them, they're not willing to listen to you. So there is no culture of embracing a different set of things that are not in the blueprint. So Botswana seems to be a place that follows a certain manual. So if you do things that are not normal, like I just give you the example of Rwanda. If you want a license with something says the guideline, they get out of your way.
Yeah.
We see this in other markets, Singapore. We see this in other markets that are leading. So in Botswana, you will get punished severely. And trust me, I'm fortunate because I don't do business with government. The worst case scenario with what I've seen with others who are tendering is they will literally come after you in ways that they can. So if you have to change this, you have to embrace that the young guy who's 18 may not be answered by what was answered by a guy in 1991.
Correct.
When there were diamonds. We have really advanced as a country. So but our systems are still stuck. That's why right now we could get our top achievers back to Ivy League colleges. Be ba tswa kwa aba compete le guy long gore o setse mo gae a fietse form 3. Do you know how painful that is? You come back from Stanford, you compete with the same guy. He drives a better car better than you. You've spent 5 years at university. This guy is the one getting the tender. Ya go support the system here when o tswang go ithuta go e dira. O tsa instruction tsa gago. Gana company all he has is a briefcase. So these are the different forms of punishment of excellence that people need to be conscious of, that we're not a country that celebrates excellence. Like you just need to look in your own, just say, Kemang Ohumpino Rukamo Levelang is a role model and in the tech space. This is important. There has to be a Mr. K, pioneering project management. Who's next to take you to the next level? We say he fought like so that thing ho planta and is disappeared. You have people that just want to stay, even if when their time is gone.
Because it's very important. I always say you've got to be brutal,
right,
about the truth before you can move in. In other words, you need to accept reality before you can start progressing from there. We're in a reality where, the United Nations, UNCTAD, did a study on Botswana's tech and innovation landscape, 2022.
Right.
And one statement, when I read the document, it says, Botswana has got no spirit of innovation.
Right.
This is not even, it was done by guys from South Africa, where they had all these consultants from all over the world, and they say there's no spirit of innovation.
Right.
But if you read all the other documents, entrepreneurship policy, the 2011 policy on innovation, science and technology, and the building of BDIH in terms of science technology parks, everything says all the things that we want to do.
Right.
So where does where does it go off rails when what we say is not what we do or how we behave?
Right.
Because I'm saying this because it's extremely important going forward, but in terms of how we do things. I mean, one example when you're talking about young people.
Right.
People get shocked when I say in UAE, the minister of the future is a 23-year-old chap. Well,
right.
I think it was last year or year before. He was 23 then. No, he was a young chap. And when you were speaking, I was like, a BDIH, as a board, do they have guys who are 20-year-old? Because you want to capture the essence of the young people and the thinking and the new stuff and the flexibility and what they call, fluid intelligence of the young people.
Right.
Who are smart and they haven't been contaminated by the systems over time.
Right.
So what's there's an example of what you do to try start influencing the thinking process.
Right.
Putting young people in these positions.
Right.
Obviously, the right young people. So why are we saying one thing and doing another thing?
Well, the one thing that's important is there's a lot of mental laziness.
People don't want to think.
So there's a lot of mental laziness. And I don't want to quote anybody who said this, but there are people who call me all the time when they're frustrated. They just can't even see the president. They can't see the minister. They just want to bring investment, large amounts of investment. Okay? There's just that first part. There's also a sense of comfort. Maybe now because things are kicking in, there's just never been problems here, right? Botswana has never been Botswana is like, if you've traveled like I have, this country literally is like, this is like a miracle. That's why people who come here will never leave. You have to look at the people who have made it in this country. Don't think they're going anywhere. They will never leave because they have seen something that is untapped and they will give it to their generations. So the other thing is the culture. Like I told you, I don't know what you discuss with your children over dinner. When I'm at home, over dinner. In our family, it's a culture. It's discussed at dinner level. We even went to an extent of trying to bring cattle from outside. We are the pioneers of this thing. So the culture of being domain experts in certain things is not there. Even diamonds, I'm wearing this. We should have one or two Botswana Baba number like it says a diamond city. You can literally go around Gaborone, even in this group of our talent that's here. None of them have seen it. So you cannot.
Some people who've worked in the mines have not seen it.
So change that thing. And then the other most important thing that I have to say is government has to get out of the way. Like literally, I'm telling you, from the minister, I don't know who advises our ministers. I don't know, I don't know who advises even in the BDIH board. Like I can tell you, I was in the BDIH board. I literally felt like I was an outsider the whole time I was there. Nobody could listen to me. Yet, when the French ambassador, for example, calls in people, like a delegation, he makes sure I'm at the table. And they get inside.
But your own people will not call you to say, let's discuss this.
I used to sit at the boardroom with the World Bank. Inside, I'm the first person who will educate the World Bank. World Bank, I discuss the entrepreneur. I was identified to lead in directing Southern Africa. Of course, later I didn't agree with the World Bank because you know how they operate. So, I'm like, no, fine, these people called me in. World Bank, Estonian president, say this guy needs to be here, front. When you look behind, you realize, they're just being harvested here. So Botswana, we've never had people leading. He has led. That's why other people say Rwanda is come and taken. No, nobody's taken from you. We live in an open source community.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you cannot say you are owner. You will lead. And you cannot be comparing Botswana to Rwanda. Rwanda is the least developing country. We cannot. We are far ahead. Even
it's doing a lot of catching up still. We
need to wake up to our reality. So people are not, even if you can just go in a government office, if I'm one person who is conscious of my mindset, if I get in a government office, stress by just virtue of going inside that office. But when I'm in another country, I go in a government office, I will think gore ke tsene ko Botswana. So, hona le culture
it's a culture thing. Yeah, it's a culture thing.
Polayang the progression ya Botswana. It's got nothing to do with gore people are talented or educated. If you ever come to me and you do like other people did and said, bana habana skills. Let me tell you, I've got a young guy who came out of a failed technical school who created a solar powered torch called Tume. Nobody helped him up until he died. The concept died. I can go to Francetown over the weekend. The guy calls me, Mr. Tekere, can I see you? Yeah, he's now created a device. Not an engineer. He's created a device. But he only needs like 15,000 Pula. I created a prototype, I survive. He's not even thinking, this guy could be the guy our institutions take and drive. And his age is 24.
Wow.
So in our institutions, when you look, and you have to study this, there's also a lack of presence of women. Women sometimes build things that matter. You have a lot of masculinity in the Botswana system. And a lot of masculinity, and I've seen it even at board level. Tekere comes as a guy, he tells the board chairman, no, I'm an guy for retreat, I'll spend 5 million. Oh, this young guy, hey, we've got nice boardrooms, so you can spend 50 Pula in a Regeri Papa.
And these are the type of things that women will be sensitive to.
So our women now have come to a point where they just sit and keep quiet. But
because they are overridden by the testosterone in the boardrooms.
Yes. Even in this space here, Rona, you would be shocked. Only one or two women have raised successfully venture capital. I think she started this computer thing. She ended up leaving Rappelang Raban. She ended up leaving Cape Town.
I know Rappelang, yes. So
she ended up leaving
technology space,
and going outside. We have Setebe Manake, first property tech startup, which we could be celebrating, but you will never hear her. We also just don't have that sense. I tell you, just to give 10 million and 1 million. And I'm like, what is your problem? This is money supposed to go to these young people. A whole Ivy League Harvard State student. This form I can make it into a one page. For 3 months. Rejection. This is the power and the problem behind our infrastructure. And it's so powerful that even where I sit every day, I'm like, oh my God, I can sit with the PS and with the minister and I'm like, does this person even know what they're doing? Who are they competing with? As a minister,
why are they doing this? In other words, what's the interest? What is the agenda?
Does he know his peer, Namibia, right now has just brought in 200 million venture capital?
I was quite shocked when Namibia is actually out past Botswana as one of the very attractive startup ecosystems
actually,
in Africa.
Namibia has a very emerging and successful emerging startup ecosystem. But now also they've kind of gotten it wrong. Zambia have started now leading. So in the region, Zambia is the hotbed. I got a young guy now who went into Y Combinator with an idea from Zambia. And he got over 10 million with the payments startup idea, just an idea, not even anything. 10 million USD. He relocates. Now he's back implementing.
Let's now look at systemically, Mox, because I've with the diamond story, which, as you know, was Tepayano. I've always believed that entrepreneurs, as the nose that I started with, or entrepreneurs build nations,
right,
from a socio-economic perspective. They've got to dominate the space. They create value,
right,
as you said, but they need, because Botswana, as you said, it comes from ground zero, so it needs to be supported. Now, with that, what are the critical ingredients? Because you've talked about culture. Okay, and a culture, and I agree with lots of that, because as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, we all, Botswana's red tape. People sometimes wonder why we still hang around,
right,
with the tiring and very exhausting bureaucracy. But we hang around because we, as you said, there are other things that are very good about Botswana, yes, that we need to acknowledge. But a good startup ecosystem, and especially entrepreneurs in the tech entrepreneurs, for me, that is what's going to save Botswana.
Right.
High value, entrepreneurs, tech, because tech is highly scalable.
Right.
Tech has been democratized. When you talk, blockchain, AI, whatever, all those are becoming cheaper, more available, growing. All Moore's law has been followed in terms of that development. So for me, that's the bet. So, but there are certain parts. You talked about VC, which is where you've been focusing on. But let's talk about other critical elements. We've covered culture. Right. Because culture talks to what, UNCTAD talk about, where there is no innovation spirit.
Right.
In terms of agility, failure, supporting your people. I think let's encircle that as culture. What are the other important parts? I'm here. You've traveled. You've seen what Rwanda is building. You're looking at your bureaucracy, as you talked about, and decision-making, the agility Rwanda is getting that. But what are the other critical elements that are important for Botswana to get off the ground?
So the first one is, which other people will kind of not agree with me, is you need talent. You need to start with the talent. Nigeria right now is training 100,000 developers. Rwanda is already at 10,000.
Where's Botswana? You are the one in the space.
Well, look, in this scenario, where are the coding schools? Where are the robotics schools?
We see spreads by companies sponsoring that school and that school.
AI, now we used to talk about coding schools. Now the AI replaces the code.
Yeah, correct.
So you don't need to send your child to go learn coding. They need to learn AI. So where are the guys who are pushing for AI? So the first thing is right now you need a mass talent base.
Pool. Yeah.
Okay.
Like India is training 2 million AI.
So we have the highest youth dividend. Our median age is 23. What is the 23-year-old doing without a computer and connected to the internet? Yeah. So that's the first thing, is that you've got to position your talent. You have got, and also we don't just say youth, we say your median age. The youth dividend, 18 to 23. Develop an app on Facebook.
And we don't even have big numbers like other countries, so we can't afford
That's advantage. Exactly. That's an advantage for us, because we have the youngest, and 18 or 23 or unemployed. Yeah.
It's got literacy.
So right now, the next big thing to do for Botswana is a quick talent acceleration program. And expose them to the skills that are cybersecurity. Right now, Ukraine, protect the Ukraine. Bale mo Botswana. Language model tsa Africa, tsa dipuo tsa Africa. Mo Botswana. But to do that, we want to inspire that talent pool. Yeah. We must open the border. Let the 18-year-old who's going to India. But they are born because they are until born. They need a role model.
Yeah.
Unless resource. I'm not saying send the kids back to school. I'm talking about where they just get given each a device. We can afford it.
Yeah.
Instead of building, continuing to fund that building, let's shut it down, give money to these young people. Just that 100,000. You'd start with 100,000.
Make a huge difference.
A bold decision where you say, I'm not going to pay the salaries 60 million. To talent. The second thing that you need to ask yourself, where's the infrastructure? Yeah. You see NVIDIA what it's doing. Do you have enough data centers? Everybody now comes. Right? Bahrain has done it. Saudi Arabia has done it.
Yeah.
The third one, you need money.
Infrastructure, just talk more about infrastructure, because you're talking about infrastructure. So there's also infrastructure, unless you're going to come to it, in terms of experimenting, apart from AI, sort of data centers.
So you need labs. So it's what you spoke about. When you set up the infrastructure, you need a whole ecosystem.
Correct.
Of different people playing. You need the universities to play with the satellite. You need people to make use of you don't just say, no, Bofinet and Bokra. No. You need people to make use of that infrastructure. The output. Your risk R&D. You need to intentionally, your private sector is got charity. In Sahela, $10 million wa gore gore se tswe di-timer. Like right now, even
beef as well, yes, that we don't know much about.
Yes. Even tourism, what is the next level of tourism?
For our unique tourism, yeah.
You know, and I didn't give you this example. We have a young guy called Nata. Ba mo pegile kwa dikolong tsa BTO, Botswana Tourism. Mo letsatsing, that young guy decides, no, I'm going to code the whole thing into a game. That IP is sitting now go Jamaica.
It's left Botswana?
Yes.
Because nobody was prepared to
Because here nobody could pick what the young guy was saying. He's now studying a master's in computer science, but inspired out of that. So, last one, money. These things, you've got talent, you've got infrastructure, and you need money. You need a new instrument. We need to stop this grant money, World Bank, away. No, we need venture capital. We need angel investors, Mr. K. A person like you should be now multiplying yourself, like what you're doing with your talent here. Go to you literally make a decision to stop building your own businesses. You get a young guy, you angel invest. And angel investing is not only money. You need a lot of Botswana ba miso gore ka dikgomo tse dintsi. Ba tse madi hela ba neele a young guy who's 18. Ka motho a retire ale PS. A tse hela 1 million a ba neela a young guy or developing a fintech platform. Eta move madi mo ga borona. We need that. We need the money, the value to circulate.
Yeah.
We need also the money ka new instrument. We also need mentorship. These young people cannot pick the value of this country from other people. The people in the country, must, with their family, we need family offices. They write books. They must also, on top of that, invest in young people.
And mentoring and coaching young people.
You know, I travel. I go to UAE. How about UAE? How about the institution? Family. Somebody has to introduce you to Mr. K's family. How you eat dinner. We see if on Alma itself. We give you 10 million. System 100 million. That's family office.
How it should work.
So you need angel investors, babanti. You need family offices, because we have a lot of wealthy people in this country. How we can devote to but bana baka automata moraka hela ka moraka. We have a young guy who created Mudisa R. Till today, I've never understood why that guy is not a billionaire or a millionaire. To the point. I never understood why Botswana have not embraced.
He's still hustling.
Yet that guy automated Mudisa. That guy automated that hope. An innovation from Botswana export beef.
Scale it, yes.
So then
just adding to the mentoring one, just to not to disturb your flow. There is that level of coaching and mentoring, but wouldn't it also be great to? I'm reminded here of Monty's example,
right?
Where Monty, as part of his AI thing, he also got inspiration from a guy called Malcolm,
right?
Who's this guy was involved with. He's a very old Scottish guy,
right?
Who mentors Monty around AI at a very, very deep level. So I'm saying we also need to dovetail into the global ecosystem. For some of these old people who've retired, who've been in tech, they'll be very happy to come and mentor some of these guys in Botswana in specific areas.
Yeah,
am I right?
Actually, Monty's your son. I got to tell you a story behind this.
Sure.
So Monty went on some podcast. I think Yagar Remokobi is your friend.
He's the first year.
Yeah, I've never met him, but Monty goes on that podcast. Do you know what happened? Monty literally shook this country. People started asking, Kiman, that boy. Oh, this is that young boy is so talented. I looked at his video and I listened for it 3 times. And I said, there's a young guy like this. This is a diamond. I hosted a tech party because I normally host tech parties. So,
not tech parties, tech parties.
No, tech parties. Yeah. So they're invite-only parties for tech people that have built something.
Cool.
Monty shows up with a friend, Drones for Africa, the girl from Drones for Africa.
Yes, Marang.
They introduced me. Hey, man, it's a pleasure to meet you. Great guy, man. We should connect. This guy, 1 week later, he sends me his pitch deck. How much have you raised? How are you getting support here? No, I'm not interested in here, but I'd like to help. I said, wow. So the mentorship I'm talking about, where we give these guys, mentorship is not, it's two-sided. We call it mentor-driven capital. It's capital. So Monty presented capital that we missed. And I really want to correct that thing, and I'm going to talk to Monty about it because I know what's happening, right? So when a young guy like that a shooter off the market, go na le ba ba tshwanang le ene ba re tshwantse re ba tise. Ha succeed bote ba compete. Ke yone capital e ke buang ga yone. So we need to show mo gongwe ke go supa hela gore no re teng, like what the Nigerians do. Every year ba compete gore who innovates in the fintech, then they all meet later when we get compete together. So sometimes it's being spotlighting and storytelling about our own. Ke capital because
it inspires.
It allows now guys like the 10x guy you spoke about to have interest to come in because they're not interested in money. They're interested in saying this guy can introduce we call it in the venture capital space, we call it warm introduction. So I see a lot of young people do it. They don't understand it. So just because pitch deck, no. You have to be warmly introduced. Good is a war. I have to mentor you. This guy has resilience. This guy to break. Like what probably the CEO of Stanbic Bank
did, yeah.
There were many of us, but he decided, no, I want to make a bet
on this one. Absolutely.
And he knew I'm not a selfish person. So you need that mentorship capital. Mongwe mutokaska a mentor hela ka go nela advice. O mongota nela madi. I'll give you an example. People don't know this. Neo Nwako is my mentor. Neo has never given me a cent. But Neo gives me with that Baricom connectivity and internet. We've been able to empower 41 schools.
Wonderful.
For Francistown. The first coding school, more old knowledge, because of our mentor. So when I give credit, I say, but he's my mentor, is also my sponsor.
Yeah.
So you need mentors that are both sponsors and all that.
Yeah.
So we need those people that cannot just give money. Access to your network is money.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Because you've built years cultivated. So in Botswana, people can just work in the mining sector, but disappear like knowledge.
With all that knowledge.
So, and you're like, but Chief, you're one of the best engineers.
Exactly. You've networked in the world. You've traveled to mines in Australia and South America.
So that's what mentorship means. And it's really broad and it needs to be, I don't say institutionalized because then it becomes dangerous. But you can make it in a transactionalist, like what I gave you. My relationship with Newa is a very simple example of that. Because of what Newa supports me, by virtue of that, I'm forced now to say to the youth, let's talk business Botswana. Join them because you know the future.
Exactly.
I'm now building a layer, the next level, business Botswana, without even asking his permission. Because we still need those institutions. But I can tell you, a guy like Monty will tell you, bound to Sagai. But whenever you would know, but these guys don't know. That's why I built a lot of relationship with Borre, Kubusaminki, Bini, all these, educating them. Challenge ba validate. When I say to her, bana babo to her no, metegero tokora anne board member, he means good for the country, he's patriotic. Put him in there. Because they sit in rooms that you will never enter. I can tell you, even out of Francistown, we sat in with you. I think you were there. I was introduced
at
to
NBC.
Somebody at NBC.
Yeah, I was there at
I
NBC.
shook a hand of somebody from ODC. Somebody introduced me. 1 week later, we sent a proposal. We had a 300,000 Pula sponsorship.
Okay.
So
Beautiful.
Some of these things are just basic. Oh no, kiss mama, and you don't interfere. But we go back to the mentor and the sponsor and we say, oh, thank you, we did good with this.
No, it's gratitude.
And disappear with the money. Yeah. So the last part of capital that you need now is venture capital. So outsource their intelligence. So Botswana should not even outsource its value by getting outsiders to fund its future. You must dog feed in the innovation space at Microsoft, like what Justice Williams said. When they built a thing for Microsoft, you are all forced to use an app. Right now, if this podcast creates a system, it is what happily before it gets you. So Botswana, we need or Madia Rona pension funding, at least like 2% or 5% down. Kara hata manzi. Ato helaba yako taking helala milaba intiba show. That's what you need a boat. Then we will see the guys what's on konteba mecha. So you do match funding. So up until that money comes, anybody building any tech product mo Botswana. Gompieno ga itse ra go goma wa go di granting. You know what we call that? We call that family, fools, and friends, the 3 Fs. So if Mr. K gives you 10,000 grant, that thing is not investment. But if he signs an angel check with you, an investor will take you more seriously because if you don't take that guy's money, you come to you with a gun. And you are obligated by law to bring that money. So we need to get away from the 3 Fs, Modi Grande and all this.
Which are very popular here.
Those things are distractions. They will even waste your time. We need young people to pitch a lot to angel investors, to VCs, to family offices.
Just to make it relevant to Botswana, there's this very common, it's been done for many years now, this youth program of 100,000, which, as you said, disappears to cows most of the time.
Fs
so that people can relate to
what
you're saying.
3 Fs.
How will you use that 100,000 that gets given to all these young people?
No, remember, it's family, fools, and friends. So it's not money which you are going to account for. I hear it's 200 million that has been banned. Do you think a personal individual, how got that 200 million, he would never allow you? Or he can't, because that's generational wealth. So we need to start thinking sustainability as Botswana. The diamonds are not selling anymore. There's no more money coming from Botswana. It has to generate new value. So we've got to intentionally now start having what we call shared value on capital. So it's important that we kind of look for that new instrument, Yahoo Finance of the future. So that's kind of the 3 things that are
we talked about infrastructure. We've talked about
talent.
Talent first.
Infrastructure, then capital. So the young people have to also understand, I mean, it's not even young, even guys with PhDs are building great companies nowadays. So you have to understand the 3 ingredients to take talent, infrastructure, le capital. A great idea. Like I told Monty, it's great that you're here, but imagine if you had really exponentially through our relationship with Delaware. So, and I hear some people are working
in the States.
In the States. But now you don't need a Delaware because Rwanda is trying to create its own Delaware. So when is Botswana going to create a Delaware? Very incentive. Good environment is also important. More when you can be so great with a good idea because of the environment. So if also
and you become negative when Moxie, because people like Monty because the system is just working against them, they become very negative, and it's not very good. I mean, like you said, you need an environment, a vibrant environment of entrepreneurship and supportive, like go Kigali. That's another bad thing. You end up becoming like you're a whinger.
Yeah, but Botswana is intentional to destroy. What I've seen with all the young people, Tota people are just anti-other Botswana. It's nothing to do with environment. Environment they can cater for everybody.
But is it a Botswana thing? You've traveled.
It's a Botswana thing.
I mean, you've been to Kigali, you've been to Nairobi, you've been to Nigeria. Is that
it's a Botswana
thing. Unique thing?
Botswana get very jealous when other Botswana succeed. It's so sad. Botswana literally do not celebrate their own. You can go to a foreign country, you don't see the diaspora Botswana connected. Botswana have lost that thing. But of course, there are some cultures who will embrace each other. We just spoke about the Kalanga culture who really embrace that. But others, the other people, the Zimbabweans. Strive Masiwa brought in one of his guys right into Google from Zimbabwe. So, Rona, when do we throw the cap at other Botswana so that if you go to any international organization, how come Nigeria? Because that is intentional. So we have to really intentionally start supporting each other. That's what I'm telling you. If I was the board chairman of BDIH, I would have made decisions that people would have been shocked. I would have literally woken up one morning and fired people. I would have woken up one morning, given guys like Monty 1 million. Take a
chance.
Is there
Take
right
a chance
to be given an opportunity to try? And remember, entrepreneurship is so hard and painful. Do you think
already by itself?
Most of these guys are first-generation entrepreneurs. Because originally, people worked in the mines, you started entrepreneur, but other people, these guys are creating a next layer. It's actually the next diversification sector.
It is.
So the digital entrepreneurship space is a non-competitive area. Penetrate like other sectors. We are gone. So it has to be Botswana-led. It has to be patriotic-led. It also has to be intentionally funded. If you cannot give it to your own, and I'm telling you, guys, like I have my mentor who built 2 unicorns, the first Africa 2 unicorns, Abuyeji Inele from Nigeria. He's building his own city.
In Nigeria.
Where he has locked out the whole system. Bureaucracy konte.
Ecosystem within the broader Nigerian
this is what I'm talking about. What you need. You need bold decisions like that where you say, no, Martin in 1 second because we share energy.
Yeah.
That energy needs to circulate.
That's true.
But then it's not going to be done by me because I've not built $1 billion company. You need an Arun to lead it. You need a Martin to lead it. You need a Monty to lead it. You need a Stepe Manake to lead it. Anything that anyone can sit in Botswana, you should know it's not the right thing. It should be put a policy. Government's role with policy is to allow the entrepreneur to lead. Government develops, the entrepreneur leads. But here it's like, you compete le government, and government will never move faster than you. Government is not connected. Government cannot talk to and make decisions over fast because the systems have to be followed. Otherwise, there's this corruption. So there has to be that intentionality. Recreate the entrepreneur.
Okay.
We throw money at problems in Botswana. What happens now? You have to find the smart ones who are patriotic, who are solving the right problems. And uboba manager me ka tsela e siameng. O sa ba tshosi le bone ba itse gore nya go mo ba lekeletse go ka nna ga fail.
Yes.
I know one who gonna go create a contribution 10% to GDP.
Yeah, sure.
That's what Silicon Valley is.
Yeah, a couple of unicorns. Now, let me turn your head around a little bit. Maybe not all is not lost.
Right.
What do you think are the right ingredients that we still have that is not too late to turn around Botswana's startup system? Okay? Startup ecosystem. Because it has. Before we came here, I gave you an example of the Chile startup ecosystem that just started in 2010.
Right.
And it's created unicorns. They opened up the visa system. Like you said, entrepreneurs come from India, from South Korea. Even South Korea, very mature. They went and benchmark in Chile, in Santiago, because it's bustling.
Right.
And so maybe there's still a hope for Botswana. And I want you, from having played in the space, now having really dissected, and as I said earlier, quite brutally, some of the aspects that are letting us down, which ones you think are still ones that we can catch, leverage, and then run away in a new thing? And then the last part of that question is, obviously we've got a new government. Part of what I heard from President Duma is that part of government's problems is government itself. And so many times he's talked about the private sector needs to now take over. I know we've heard that with many regimes before,
right.
But we're hoping that he means at this time to say, is there a glimmer of hope from the new guys, especially that we have very little choice now. And as we said at the beginning, it is going to be the entrepreneurs, not just the ones here and the others coming from outside. And I'm saying this because from our inward looking and very tight borders and disappointing people who want to come to practice in Botswana, whether entrepreneurs or open business, whatever it may be. So those are the two questions I would like, before we end, the ones that I want you to visit, to say, on the positivity side, what do you see? And then your take on how the new government is framing the way forward.
Yeah. So this one is a bit of an interesting one. But my view is the only advantage that's still there is the name Botswana. And the people.
From a brand point of view? Or
from a brand point of view. You cannot destroy the goodness that is this country. And its people that are humane. So that is an important thing that we need to give to the future. Okay? And how I would see this being moved to the next level is where there's an intentional boldness in letting the youth and the young people lead. And I say this with humility, to say, Tota, get out of the way.
Yeah.
I when people speak about private sector, give Botswana baba khonang the chance to lead. I'll give you a case point with the new government. They were voted by the people who knew what they were voting for, who were conscious. I would expect ministers to be sitting with people like you, not outsiders, not consultants, not experts, not this noise that I'm hearing. Because you guys this country has showed people everything. They like, I get confused when people tell me about an expert from Bangladesh or from wherever. I get confused because I'm thinking, these people,
and we're in that mood at the moment.
Botswana themselves are the next frontier diamond. So you have to sit with the few. Baba lintim, baba leng gore ba na le essence ya shared value. Le gore ba age ecosystem.
Yeah.
Oba utwe. Obo tsamaya ka roadmap ya bona. And it doesn't have to be done through some structured body because some people are not interested in being part of association. Some people sitting where they are an ecosystem.
Yeah.
So why do they need to come to your office and waste your time? So the new government has to get out of its office, or its people, it must get out of their office. Basically, I expect that anybody has time to pitch. I don't have time to go to pitch to government now. I don't want to. I'm connected. Some of my advisors are Keith Jeffries.
Yeah.
I didn't ask him to advise me. I shared a problem with him. I saw his expert. So they shared value. I'm talking to you, people like you, with this platform. Platforms like these are the true definitions of the ecosystem. They need to be plugged in. Redocument. It has to form organically. Right? Then, of course, the optimism part of it is that you can't give up on Botswana. Like they always like to say, is the only thing that we have. And you have to be patriotic. Like me, especially coming from where my family has benefited, I have benefited. So the least that I can do is give back. But I have to be honest with you. Africa is open for business. Africa is open for business. The internet has changed the rules. If it takes me one WhatsApp message to send to a minister for Ghana, aba responda be rena le call ka Sunday, ebe ke romela the same WhatsApp to a minister mo Botswana. Ke be ke re ke tswa ko US be ke thelang ke tsemo boarding asa itse gore ne ke manage 100 million. We are lost. O ne tsuke o tetse o buile le man before I hand over that building. Madi asa tsidi kana kana. So we need to get out of our comfort zone because we are elected. People are elected to serve. And people must read. People speaking about history. People must read on how this country was governed. Is there in the history? Go to the library as a minister. Spend 1 hour reading. Go and consult and talk to old people. The answers are here. Even the money of banana batang. Hamu kaburu ako di famu nga kaya tetse monagi. Me aba sa introduce yo go tetsa mo go bona rolo di khumu. Tse di khona re ka weekend di rekiswe ka 10 million khumelo one. Wa go mona yang go sa mo introduce. So we've got to get out of the way for young people and point them in the right direction. Otherwise, great guys with great ideas. Ba go sekela mo go one rulwela breadcrumbs. I was just telling one of your guys here, I told somebody in the US I'm raising 10 million. They laughed at me and they said, that's petty cash. So raise it to 25 million. I said, kya go busa madi a batho kae? Because ke na le conscious. Ha ke lo mongwe ke to atsa be ke sia ka. And then I will not be able to return the fund. But because I'm in a space where I see myself in the next 50 years pioneering the venture capital space. I want to launch fund 1, fund 2, fund 3. So I have to play
and the
pitch.
Performance of each one builds onto the next one.
So the advice to the new regime and the new government is you really have to open your eyes and talk to individuals on the ground. Mo di office mo na ke tsoro go bereketse mang. A ke itse tota nna ke ra re now where I'm sitting right now, you cannot convince me that I can go sit with somebody and convince the ministry right now. If you ask me and I must go sit with an entrepreneur like Monty, I'll gladly cancel out my meeting. The other message I like on the people building stuff is just, guys, you know what? You've got to write your code. Get your code right. Look for the investors across the world. You've really, like the entrepreneur in Botswana needs to stop this thing. If government, you are building something valuable for them, they will come to you. If it's a threat to them, they'll come to you.
Yeah.
If it's a disruption, they'll come to you. Don't beg. Because the moment you guys are begging, this begging, it will alienate a lot of young people. I've seen it over email where things are destroyed because you are begging and then patobaluza your value. Stay in your corners. Stay in your corners, build. The talent must stop. This interviews and everything. The work must speak. The AI, reports, somebody gets hold accountable. Why is this young guy Botswana? You lose your job. That's what Rwanda does.
Yeah. That's what Rwanda does.
If you somebody goes and succeeds, Rwanda, minister portfolio, you are losing your job.
Really?
So that's the level of seriousness of running efficiency. It's no longer we must just also advise the new administration. No, not all the answers are sitting with the ministry.
Yeah.
Matata Botswana to kan go solve you Matata o thela gone kwa innovation and that's why I've always said our guys at Innovation Hub don't understand. They spend a lot of time in the city. The challenges are out there with the people. But what for go clinic? But ba itse ba go romela madi ang go diposong. Ba fodi.
The farmers are busy.
The farmers
are struggling with productivity. You know, they can't produce.
Yes.
So cattle numbers are dropping. So it's everywhere.
Yeah. So somebody needs to be given a mandate at that level and with accountability. So if you have this thing where you're always advised by people, company one. That's the other problem. We have a lot of advisors that are ceremonial. Now I've built companies, I've lost money. I just told you I shut down a business in Francistown now. Very painful. You know, somebody shuts it down, they think they're taking me. I have a young guy now, Odriandi Torch, who's affected. I have a young guy now with 50,000 young people on a platform. I've got 41 schools peak. Now, do you see what you have just destroyed by closing my innovation space? So what do you want me to do? Now I have options. I can leave anytime. So other people don't have an option. They only have village to make an anshakasho. Then there's GBV, there's all these issues. So we must also intentionally intentionally, like what I've seen in this podcast today. And it validates what the African Development Bank says. If you start a technology business, it creates about 5 in this skill. So this proves exponentiality in launching tech businesses like GrowthWell. So high roller in 5
impact, yeah.
5 as a 5 year to standard 7 grade. But Reddy Joe and all these guys are experts. They know planning all these things are important things that we need Botswana to play behind. Some person say, So maybe we must start showing the behind scenes of, like, it takes even the value that I'm seeing here. You exceed 100,000 just by me sitting here.
Absolutely.
Because somebody also the current state of Botswana, Netherlands, who frustrated, who podcast here, decides to come back and invest in a startup.
Absolutely.
This is the impact they give as a challenge. Even in ourselves, impact. Let's talk about stories where I just talked about one young guy we invited to Pula. Out of going to that platform, I meet Keith Jeffries. He becomes a mentor on me. And he sits with me and he introduces me to the 5 biggest pension funds in Botswana.
Wow.
I sit with all of them. So we need doors to be opened like that. And we need these authentic conversations to translate into capital at the end of the day. Remember, I'm a person who raises money for businesses. At the end of the day, I must go back to my core business. My core business is that Luna build your businesses. Yeah. There's a catch. It's not like free money. I'm not a philanthropist. The catch is you make money, I make money.
Absolutely.
I then invest in a portfolio. Oh, that day I can tell them we are tired of people coming here. But leader. We made this country a developed country now the smartest young people. So my advice would be, let's get out of the way for entrepreneurs, particularly the youth. By long are innovative. Let's celebrate them. Let's protect them.
Beautiful.
And let's succeed.
Beautiful. As we come to an end, 2 things. One, you're a traveled man. What is your, and I'm also for you in terms of, I mean, I see the pressure from Monty to say, Monty, you got to look for a very mature, vibrant ecosystem so that people like you and many others can thrive. And the question is, from an Africa perspective, I know you've talked a lot about Kigali and Rwanda. Which one do you think is coming right now? From your experience having landed and interfaced, this is to watch ecosystem, whether it's Namibia, Zambia, Rwanda, Kenya, the many unicorns that are popping out of Nigeria. Which one is that one? And then lastly, as I do with all my guests, is there's usually a writer, a book or something that just we or it has, you keep, some people sit there and say the Bible. Mm-hmm. Some people say this philosopher. Some people say just anything that you want to share, because young people really appreciate the books because they say, wow, thank you for recommending that. I read it and it's given me an extra oomph.
So just the first one. Unfortunately, this is a fact that people must know. Africa gets about $5 billion in venture capital annually. It goes to only 4 countries. South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, and Egypt.
Yeah.
4. 84% of that goes to the big 4. 84%. It's not changed in the last 5 years. It's been like this. Okay? So, Mogosalang. Akitsure ke bokae? Matutora. Asemotse go tsewa ke ba ileng gore they're fast.
They're like popping up
Rwanda,
now. Rwanda,
bo Ghana, Zambia, mo regioning ye ke Zambia. Bo Senegal. And it's influenced by what they call, some of these countries have come up with Startup Act. They understand what are startups.
Correct.
Aba confuse motho o dirang copy ye le motho o dirang an AI ya tshwana ya ga Monty kana ya ga Martin Stimel. Motho o ga thoki dilo tse di one. Motho o dirang copy o kgona ra ba feitsela a sa ya sekolong. Yo mongwe yo is building what we call a disruptive business. So the markets to watch out for, really, in Africa. Rona, right now, we are focusing on what we call the non-big 4.
The non-big 4, outside the big 4.
The big 4. Mm-hmm. The hot ones right now, which you have to look. The first one is Kigali, because it's hot in terms of environment. Mm-hmm. Second one, Zambia. Third one, Ghana. And fourth one, Senegal. And fifth one, Uganda. These are the ones where you can go in there, register, and
they are good with it. Good with it. Yeah.
Well, look, there's a young lady ordering a solar thing who went to Tanzania. Kenya flooded. Aba riza go Tanzania. Aba wela go Kenya. Nigerians now go to South Africa.
And they go back.
They go back to Nigeria.
They go to Cape Town.
Nigerians used to go to America, go Delaware. It's so strong in Nigeria. It's so competitive. They're competing, these guys, among themselves.
Which is good for business.
And they've even managed to convince, to show you, one of them has gone out, the leadership that we're talking about. One of them has sprinkled out from the ecosystem.
Really?
Algeria
Wonderful.
is another market where I need to tell you has sprinkled, is to watch out. Algeria has the leanest Ministry of Startups and Economy.
Wow.
New economy.
New economy, yeah.
With the minister only lead but 5 from ministry, Baba executive. They're all digital workers. So these are the countries which I would advise the youth to look at. But of course, being in Botswana also gives the advantage to the diaspora.
Yeah.
Botswana Monty actually Baloko UK which is why I'm very strong with the embassies. We need to now talk to our embassies.
That's a good point.
Bilaterally.
That's a good point.
Ambassador wa UK mo Botswana. Re la ngwana ki yo o tswa go university ya UK o dirile go mona. Re kopana an extra 2 years. Re matele CD ya bo kae ya 500,000 pounds. Aba ya go implement an education initiative ko Botswana ha ba mo. That's what smart. What they are now calling it tech diplomacy. The embassies are now doing that.
Yeah.
New countries are hiring the ambassador, like people like you. You get appointed a special envoy on technology.
Exactly.
Unna ha a gona deal e diriwang ya technology o sa itse. O ta check gore motho ke ngwana Motswana o bo mo isa. So we need tech diplomacy to work for bana ba rona. Ba ba tswang konte. Go thata ya no gore ngwana o bothale re mo re rate hela ka gore re itse environment ya rena ya sia. Okay? So that's what I can say gore I've seen young guys that have come ba tswa ha ba go UK ba register be ba swa mo Botswana. Me anong the other advice go gore ba ga itse se lebelleng hela mo Botswana. Africa is open for business. So go into Africa. And that takes you to my favorite 2 books. A book by Victor Khomeswan.
Victor Khomeswan. Okay. South Africa.
So Victor used to be a CNBC anchor. So I must credit CNBC for exposing him.
Okay.
So Victor has documented all the countries and he speaks about Botswana quite greatly. So that book, if you read it, you will understand why you need to go away.
Okay.
Why you must go to DRC and what you must look at. Maybe it's time for Victor to write a second one. Then the other book that I
think I've seen the book. Yes. It's on the bookshelf.
Yes.
Basically documenting Africa growth in terms of development.
Exactly.
Yes,
so that's my favorite book. That's my Bible every time I want to reflect on, do I want to leave Africa or not? It reminds me, no, the African continent is wide and open.
Yeah. Okay.
The second book is The Startup Revolution by Dr. Roche Mamabolo, who happens to be my mentor. He talks about the difference between building startups and SMEs. So halin na o re bitsa ko ministry o bota o discussa do tse leng gore di a go benefita di SME. Rona re bua ka innovation driven enterprises. We're going to ignore you. So that book maybe is a book we need to give to the president as a gift and the new minister. Gore ratsa mo bala buka e o tlhaloganye gore go na le di-company tse di agiwang hela motho a tshwere internet le computer.
Yeah.
A ba hira batho a sa ba bone.
Absolutely. You don't need brick and mortar.
A ba sign the contract a ba duela ka di USD. Country ya gagwe e benefita in Texas. Okay? Then, you know...
The name again for the second one?
So it's called The Startup Revolution.
The Startup Revolution.
The Startup Revolution book. It is inspired by Startup Chile.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's inspired.
Because there's a book as well on Startup Chile.
Yeah. So one can also read Startup Chile because there's a book around that.
There is a book.
So a lot of these people have maybe it's a gift I must give to people in power to read. Okay? So that would be what I would say. And of course, I love beyond books. Now, the new form of book are podcasts like this.
Yeah, podcasts.
I just told already, Jogore, I'm a subscriber of your show.
Thank you.
So every Sunday when you issue out a
new one,
that's my Sunday routine. Gore ke reetsa a podcast. And I really wish gore ke lo congratulate gore in the future add AI to this this thing it capture the insights.
Yes.
The insights.
Yes.
Because it can't just be free.
No.
It's free on the internet, but for you to understand the value and for you to extract that value for policy making, you have to pay for it.
Absolutely.
So I really congratulate you and say this is a strong platform that I really wish while I was still kakwa. Ngabe ke itisitse ka resource. But baba tsening aba irealo. It's not about one person, it's about what they do not see. And also they just don't understand. Innovation is experiment. Don't try to sit with people who are innovators and pioneering new things. We need to move from description to prescription. We must go to test beds, testing.
New areas.
That's what I advise anybody here to say, keep building. And to the youth, they must build. They must build their intentional.
Yeah.
It's their country, it's their right.
Thank you, Mox.
Thank you
this
very much.
This is beautiful,
sir.
Man. Thanks for the hard-hitting stuff. It's been so valuable. And as ever, thanks for your candid approach.
Right.
I think this country needs that. And one of the things that I tell, I don't know how much you listen to the president. He, even at the private sector engagement session, he said, I'm looking for idea contestation. I want people to challenge the system. And I think you've exemplified that today. And I'm hoping that they can take this forward. So thank you.
Thank you
I
very
really
much,
appreciate it, my man. And then I think for our viewers, I think we can look at this at 3 levels. I always say Africa has got so much to offer. And sometimes we don't focus on it. So this is also for a global audience. Tekere has traveled. I've traveled. I've talked to audiences in Canada and said, wow, is that what Africa can offer? So the world is there for grabs. From an African continent, guys, you know how much we still at ground zero. A lot of the insights from Tekere are so valuable, whatever country you reside. And importantly for our country, Botswana, That's the only country we have. And there's so much. We got to give platform for people like this. We should stop listening to people that gives us the stuff that we like. The system has to be rattled. And these are the type of guys that they need to be sitting with the ministers. They need to be given the platforms to say. And as he rightly said, Botswana has had this tendency to really almost shut up or shut down these type of sources from Tekere and company that can really help to build our country. So with those few, thank you very much. And please, as we normally appeal to you, as we bring people like Tekere and more are coming, keep subscribing and we bring you more juices. Thank you very much and see ya.